We did get the response earlier this hour from President Trump's legal team to Robert Mueller's proposal for an interview with the president, and basically it was a non-response, saying it wasn't the appropriate time to comment on it. Jay Sekulow, Rudy Giuliani with some short statements from National Center for Public Policy Research fellow Horace Cooper's with us. Horace, thanks for coming on. We appreciate this. And, you know, obviously this issue is going to hang around. We were talking earlier about the midterm elections. We have debates on the show all the time about the economy. But the Bob Mueller investigation is not going away. How much of a distraction do you think it is for this White House heading into the midterms?
Well, I actually think that the interest of the White House at this point is to figure a way to either get some traction with Bob Mueller before the Labor Day holiday, or to push activity until after the election. The normal
What do you mean
protocol,
by traction?
You want to get either a conclusion, a decision, some sort of ultimate outcome, either before Labor Day, because of the Department of Justice regulations typically require an investigation or any indictment not to be undertaken in a way that might interfere with the elections. That means, likely in this case, not even allowing Bob Mueller to be able to issue even a report in September or October. So either you do it now or you push it out until after November.
Well, Mueller's probably unlikely. I mean, we don't know what he's going to do. He's actually, there have been no leaks, doesn't seem like, out of his office, but it seems to me it'd be unlikely to conclude his investigation without pursuing every avenue possible as to an interview with the president. That's kind of what the statements are about today. Mueller and his team, they want to talk about obstruction. It has been reported with President Trump, not just about any possibility of collusion, conspiracy, and the like. They want to talk about the idea, did the president obstruct their investigation? If you're President Trump, is there anything to be gained by actually agreeing to sit for an interview with the special counsel?
Hillary Clinton sat down with the Department of Justice investigators. They worked out a prearranged agreement and understanding on how things would occur, and she walked away with no consequence. All that a good lawyer wants for any of their clients, whether it's the president, whether it's the Secretary of State, a senator, or anyone else, let's get some ground rules that will allow our client to give the best presentation possible.
Right.
The problem, as I see it, is this idea that you can use constitutionally protected authority. The executive power in Article 2 can be the basis for a claim of obstruction. That, to me, is a circumstance that puts this investigation on a very tenuous ground.
Yeah, because as we were saying, it looks like the Mueller team wants to go after the obstruction argument, or at least ask the obstruction questions. We said both Sekulow and Giuliani were quite vague in the public statements they released. There is a New York Times report now that there was a counter made by the president's team, a counter offer to the special counsel's office, which basically said, we'd like to see a narrower path for answering questions. In other words, I suppose, yes, the president's open to being interviewed, but the path has to be narrower. And I would think that that's, you know, based on the obstruction questions, right?
Well, purportedly, this is an investigation about collusion. And if it has morphed into a conversation about whether or not the president may exercise his authority to select a cabinet nominee or a high-ranking official at the FBI, or remove them, or any of these other reasons as a pretext for some criminal action, you create a serious constitutional problem. This normally isn't the circumstance. You normally look for behavior outside the context of lawful behavior, whether it's your First Amendment right, whether it's your Second Amendment right. Normally,
right, your
constitutionally created and protected rights aren't the basis for arguing that you've committed a crime.
All right, we'll keep talking about it. We'll come back to it, but we're going to go on to some other issues. Again, the president's team doesn't seem to have rejected an interview request outright, but they would like to limit the scope of that interview. At least that's the reports we're getting. Horace, thanks. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.